Welcome to Face Forward, the podcast, the series that takes you behind the scenes of the riveting world of clinical trial management. I am your host, Valerie Kovney, and I am thrilled to be your guide on this journey through the nuances of planning, executing, and navigating the clinical research landscape.
So joining us today is Esther Sanchez, Associate Director of the Global Startup Unit at Indero. With more than 24 years of experience in clinical research, Esther is a recognized expert in study startup, site activation, and team leadership. Throughout her career, Esther has driven cross-functional initiatives that ensure quality, compliance, and client satisfaction while mentoring teams to reach their full potential. Esther will share insights on why a strong study startup team is essential and how it can transform trial outcomes. We'll explore three main points today: the importance of a robust startup unit, essential components of an effective team, and finally, avoiding common mistakes in startup development. So Esther, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this initiative. And also, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about my passion, which is a startup. So I'm delighted to be here and share all my knowledge with all of you. Thank you very much.
Yes,
really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yes. Perfect. So Esther, why is having a robust startup unit essential for clinical trials?
Okay. So, Valerie, having a robust startup unit is essential because, as you all know, startups set the foundation for the entire clinical trial. So, these phases where timelines are either or protected or even lost, right? Risks are it can be either anticipated or missed, and the relationship with our sites and the sponsor at the first, we need to take care about it. So a strong startup team ensures that the clinical activities, like, for instance, you're all aware that like regulatory submissions, site activation, contract executions are done very efficient, in a very efficient way, and which is more important, I would say, that we need to have a clear understanding of the local requirements. So beyond speed, a robust startup brings a strategy oversight. So having an experienced startup team we don't execute tasks, okay? So we need to proactively identify country-specific challenge, flag feasibility concerns very early, because the feasibility is one of the most important steps during the site activation life cycle. And we really need to be aligned closely with clinical operations, regulatory, and sponsors. So this is going to have an impact. And if we have control over this cycle, we will reduce downstream delays, avoid constantly amendments, and help trials to move the enrollment with confidence. So, and to end up to your question, when the startup is done well, it's going to have a triple effect across the entire site activation life cycle. So faster site activation leads to an early first patient in. This is what all the sponsors are looking for. Smooth enrollment projections, okay, and better data quality. Data quality is one of our top priorities as well, especially working in a CRO. So this is what I think it is a robust startup and is essential to run any clinical trial.
Amazing. So we've had conversations in the past, Esther, where you had mentioned that you referred to your team as warriors. So can you elaborate a bit on this concept?
Yes, that's a very specific question, and it's completely true. I often describe the startup team as warriors because we are in the front line of any clinical trial. So we operate in one of the most complex and high-pressure phases of the study. So where multiple stakeholders, tight timelines, involving regulations and competing priorities, we consolidate all these topics all at once. So we are super warriors. So a startup we really need to be very resilient, we need to be adaptable and very solution-oriented. We navigate through regulatory burdens. We need to negotiate budget and contract. We need to face site challenge and last-minute changes, okay? So while keeping the momentum of protecting the study timelines, we need to be away from any obstacles, okay? So we really need to anticipate them. We need to have a problem. So we need to really resolve problems quickly and keep pushing forward. So what really defines us as warriors is we need to have this kind of mindset. Okay, so we really need to take ownership. We advocate for the study, for the site, and for the sponsor goals. So the balance, speed with companies, and urgency and quality. So we need to put all these three pieces under this balance. So this is the reason why I think I consider my team or even myself like a warrior. So that's the reason behind my thinking. So.
Yes, amazing. And what would you say are the top 3 or 4 checks every company should include in their startup process?
Okay, the first one I would say is that we really need to have cross-functional collaboration. And what do I mean with cross-functional collaboration is to have a very good collaboration, not only internally, but also with our sponsor. Serious and sponsors should be functioning as a unit team. So that's why the feasibility, site identifications, regulatory, contract, and clinical work together seems lazy under the same roof. So we need to be completely under the same roof. Wherever is leveraging our expertise on experience in country, pride for speedy startup or navigating complex regulatory landscapes. So we try to develop an optimal activation strategy for our sponsor. So we really need to function as a true partners, not just the providers. Okay, so partnership with our clients and also within our team means be able to listen to each other, adapting and co-creating solutions. So every startup is different. Okay, we have our own challenge. They're paid. We can manage different SAOPs. So our role is to work beside our clients, not ahead or behind. And as I mentioned, the really success of a good cross-functional collaboration is to treat our sponsor as a true partners. Okay, so that would be my approach. The second will be because you mentioned Valerie 3, proactive risk management. Startup is based in very good proactive risk management, so we really need to be able to proactively identify and mitigate risks to prevent any delays down the line. So every contract, every regulatory document and submission benefit from this approach, avoiding costly rework and missed milestones. And another thing that I want to mention, a part of the risk management, is the accountability and the ownership. In the world of the startup, accountability is crucial. So our team members needs to understand the importance of bringing together many different pieces and talking about ownership. So it's easy for people to say, this is not my job, okay? We are completely not aligned. And also, we can create confusion to the sponsor. We really need to be crystal clear with the sponsor about what is going to be our accountability and what is going to be our ownership. So, and last but not least, building a strong relationship with the site. That will be a key. Site, we need to treat a site not like they are just endpoints. Sites, they are critical partners in the success for any clinical trial, so we really need to set up a strong collaboration with the site. We really need to be able to intimise with them, okay? So we really need to keep a strong relationship and help us to move beyond transactional interactions and create a true collaboration. So, yes, having a good relationship with the site, it will really be the key factor for a successful startup.
Amazing. And we are already on to our last question for today.
Yes.
It went by so quick, Esther. So here we are. What are the common challenges companies experience during startup?
Well, I think some of the most common challenge companies experience during the startup front is the complexity and the independency of this phase. So one major challenge is the understanding of the startup timelines, particularly in a global environment where the regulatory requirements, ethics committees, approval, contract negotiation can vary significantly by country by country and even region by regions. Okay, so understanding of what is behind every startup timeline, no matter by country by region, will be crucial. So another frequent challenge is lack of early alignment, either between our sponsor and the CRO, or across internal functions such as regulatory, legal, clinical operations, and feasibility, this cross-functional collaboration that I spoke in the previous company. So when expectation, responsibility, and priorities are not clearly defined upfront, delays tends to escalate later in a trial. So a third challenge is site readiness and engagement. So that links to the previous questions. So site make look feasible on paper, but in real world can constrain. So like staffing, lack of staffing, or we need to be able to identify if the site is having a lot of, they are launching a lot of competitive study, or they are facing any slowed contract execution. So that's what I said, that we often emerge late and they are identified, it should be identified all those constraints during the early startup. So we also frequently see a lack of contingency planning for delays without backup site. So we really need to define, we really need to be able to create site activation timelines. How to keep the site activation, the site right on average over the site activation point of view. So we can potentially identify a certain number of sites to be activated per month, but then we need to be able to identify backup site in order to maintain the baseline site activation that we have agreed since the very beginning. And finally, many organizations are struggling with reactive rather than potential risk management. Let me retake this risk management topic that I covered in my previous answer. So without an experienced startup who understand local regulatory landscape and can anticipate challenge early, teams end up in a lack of planning. So, and of course, it will have an impact on cost. So everything we cannot forget about, of course. So I think all these challenges reinforce why a strong and strategic startup unit is essential. And it's transformed a startup as a risk-heavy phase into a controlled, predictive, and proactive and value-driving one.
Yeah, so this concludes our episode for today, Esther. It was a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Valerie. And I just wanted to close this opportunity that you give me to be here, that having a global startup unit isn't just about an organization chart or process. It is about mindset, okay? So it's about believing that innovation can come from anywhere, and that's even the smallest idea that can make a global impact with the right support. So I'm proud to be part of the company that recognized this, like Indero, and that's invested in people. That's why we are investing in people, collaboration, and innovation. So thank you for listening. I'm super happy to be part of this company that believes that we can bring miracles to the market soon.
Yes, on these beautiful words, thank you so much, Esther, and see you next time.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, everyone.
As we conclude another illuminating episode of Face Forward, we find ourselves at the crossroads of science and progress. Remember that behind the jargon and statistics lie stories of unwavering commitment, meticulous observation, and the pursuit of evidence that shapes our understanding of health and disease. Stay at the forefront of knowledge and innovation and follow Face Forward on your preferred platform. My name is Valerie Kovney. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.